Well, the 18th Texas Congressional District needs a new leader. U.S. Democratic Representative Sheila Jackson Lee died of cancer on Friday.
Yeah, and as many people in the city mourn the loss, they're waiting to learn who's going to take her spot in Congress. To explain the next steps of finding a new candidate, we're talking with University of Houston Associate Professor of Political Science Jennifer Clark. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We want to talk about two things, right? Because there is the remainder of Sheila Jackson Lee's term, which is really only until January, and then who's going to run in the November election. So can we start with the remainder of her term? We're looking at like 6 months left. What happens? Like, what's the process?
Right. Yeah. So there's really two big questions. The first question is involving filling that vacancy, as you had mentioned. And then the second question is what the ballot is going to actually look like in November. And so who will be the Democratic nominee that fills the vacancy for Sheila Jackson Lee. And so in thinking about that first question, state law gives the governor the authority to set a special election for that seat. And there's actually no deadline for when he needs to call for that special election. And so it could occur relatively quickly, as it did in 2021 with the passing of Ron White. He called for a special election within a month, and then 2 months later, we had the special election, or he could take his time. And so it's really just simply up to Governor Abbott to decide when the actual special session will occur. Now, in terms of the ballot and who's going to actually be the Democratic nominee, that's up to the party to decide. And so the executive committee of the Harris County Democratic Party will meet, and they have a deadline of August 26th to decide who's going to replace her on the November ballot. And if they can't decide, then the Texas Democratic Party can step in and set who's going to be the nominee for that seat.
All right.
And so when do Democrats need to find a candidate? Is there a deadline for that?
There isn't necessarily. There is that August 26th deadline by which they need to replace her on the ballot, but you're going to see individuals vying for that position, and some of the things they're going to be looking at will be name recognition, fundraising ability, and also issue positions on some of those important issues that we've been talking about over the course of the past 2 years.
Yeah, so we had mentioned in our newscast this morning some of the people that we have confirmed, other people that, we have confirmed from other sources who are interested in that seat. But let's just talk really quickly about this special election that the governor can call. I guess he doesn't have to, but the timing is really weird, right? Because he has a month to do it. Even if he did it in a month, then there's a little bit of lag time before the election, and then half of the remainder of the term is done. And you would think the party would then want to be focusing on the real election in November. Is it possible that seat just sits unfilled for the remainder?
That is a possibility. So you could have him simply decide not to call for a special election, in which case those constituents won't have a representative during that time frame.
All right.
How might her successor change the political landscape in that district and in Congress? What initiatives do you know, if any, she was working on?
Well, she's been a fierce advocate, and you can see that just by reading the statements by her fellow Congresspeople, as well as leaders within the state of Texas. And so she was a member of the Judiciary Committee, and so she advocated on issues involving criminal justice, ending racial disparities. And so, given the way that the district is made up, its composition, the large Latino population, the large number of Black voters within that district, I would expect that candidates vying for that seat will have to really reach out to those communities and connect with them and build that trust and talk about issues that are important to those communities as well, just as she did.
Yeah, I mean, I think like 15 different elections that she's won for that seat. And I think I read the 18th Congressional District has voted Democrat since 1972. I mean, so it's like, oh, well, who else will be on the ballot? And it's like the Republican, nobody ever talks about that because this is such a large largely Democratic congressional district.
That's right. And even nationwide, there aren't necessarily a lot of those toss-up districts that could go either for the Democrats or the Republicans in any given year. And so you have a lot of safe seats. And certainly this district leaned heavily Democratic. But at the same time, I don't think it's something that the Democratic nominee will want to take for granted. And so I would fully expect all of the candidates to be out there meeting the voters and really making a case to those constituents within the district, how they're going to advocate on their behalf.
Yeah, right now there's already somewhat of a line from what we're hearing on all those candidates who will want to get out there in the community to try to get that nomination to run. We appreciate your time, Jennifer. Thank you for explaining all that to us this morning. Jennifer Clark.
Now, if you go to our website, click2houston.com, you'll be able to read about who the Democrats are considering as options to fill her spot in Congress. For now, we're waiting to learn when the former Congresswoman will be laid to rest.